Hey folks, Reloading Bench back with you once again. And if you are a Dillon fanboy, you are not going to like this video. This is a follow-up to what I touched on a few videos ago relating to this powder measure and its dated design. And by that, I mean it really doesn't account for today's changes in bullet feeding technology or other types of dies. And as you'll notice, I have the failsafe rod disconnected, and this would actually be facing the other direction on the other side of the press, to where this would be on the back end, this powder bar measure, which I shouldn't change because I did have it set for 5.1 grains. Wonderful. This just is not the best design for today in what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to show you today what I'm able to do to get around the limitations of this particular powder drop. The failsafe rod would be installed right about here on this particular 750 and attaching to this plate down below, which I've also removed. Let me show you where that is. So that used to be right here. This plate used to be right here, and that would attach the failsafe rod so that I could then attach it to the powder drop. And the problem with that is when this is in that direction, the powder drop will hit the bullet feeder to the point where this will get stuck. And because of the limited mobility of the powder failsafe bar, this powder drop can only be situated in a very small type of rotation, none of which would compensate or correct for the fact that I'm using a bullet feeder that's as tall as the powder drop. So I reached out to Dillon and told them my predicament, and they said, oh, we have a fix for that. You just buy 2 springs that you wrap right around here, and that's actually what this design is for. If anyone was wondering why this is here and why that's there, is these 2 springs go around here so that when you activate the powder drop, it returns to its original station. And I thought, okay, that's cool. And then here's where my level of I wouldn't use the term dissatisfaction. Surprise. How's that? Surprise. I've heard nothing but stellar information about Dillon and their customer service and their no BS warranty. So when I called Dillon last Tuesday morning, that would be February 19th, I think it was around 9 o'clock Pacific, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I told them the predicament I was in. I think I was 4th in line on the queue. I waited and then talked to a gentleman, very knowledgeable gentleman, and he said, yeah, you need to buy 2 springs, and that will give you the pre-2000 version of this powder drop, essentially without, before the failsafe rod was introduced, I'm guessing for some legal reasons. And he said, yeah, they're about $1.99. He looked them up on their site, and he said, oh, I'm sorry, they're $3.99 a piece, and they're on the website, and you can order those. And that was kind of the extent of the conversation. I'm like, okay, well, so much for that. The press isn't allowing me to do what I'm doing, and because of how I want to configure this, I need to buy a few more parts that I guess Dillon doesn't consider a warranty type coverage, which again I also understand, so no harm, no foul. So I ordered, and hopefully, I don't know how well this will come out on film because of the focus, Tuesday, February 18th at 12:34 p.m., 6 days ago, is when I got my confirmation from Dillon. I blacked out my private information. My order was $69,000 and some whatever, shipping, billing information, And the parts, they're called the powder bar return spring to make a pre-2000 measure function, or to make this powder measure function like pre-2000. I ordered 2 of them for $7.98. And here's where my level of meh comes in with Dillon and their customer service. So the total was $7.98. My tax was $1.52. Shipping was $8.49. No NRA donation. So the total for two springs is $17.99. So $18 for 2 springs. Today is Monday, and this showed up today. This is what blew me away. So Dillon mailed it on the 19th, and they used first class packaging. So I paid almost $9 for shipping to take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, 6 days of mail delivery. And Dillon is in Arizona and I'm in California. And that blew me away as to why they wouldn't ship a flat rate, small box USPS flat rate for about the same price, and I would have got it in 2 days. So I'm going to go ahead and open this, and you'll see that, and we'll see what we get. Looks like the springs are down here. Oh, and it looks like there's a price difference of $17.71 versus $17.99, so it wasn't as expensive as originally thought. And the reason being, springs were $3.99 each. Sales tax, they had the wrong estimation for sales tax, so they charged me double on sales tax. And let me open that, and that is what I now have, are 2 powder bar return springs. So let's install these. Look like I just measured them, they're 5 inches and very tiny. So for anyone else wanting to do this, you could probably run down to the big box shop and find the same spring for less than the equivalent of what now cost, let's see, $18, $9 a spring after shipping, handling, and all that good stuff. Alright, so what I'll probably do is have one on each side so that the okay, so I now have a pre-2000 powder drop. Springs, and that's that. Okay, I will call that done in terms of press is ready. Now I'll talk about some other ideas I had regarding this powder drop. Part of the video, if you're a fanboy, you should probably stop watching and skip because as I've touched on some of my upgrades for the 750 by doing the Lee lock rings, I also wanted to touch on a powder measure that I think is got some better design implementations than the Dillon powder measure. And by that, I'll show you what I mean. So I picked this up a few years back. Have not used it because I'm pretty happy with the old powder drop that I currently use in my Lee turret, but I wanted to pick this up because of my, I guess, addiction to stuff that I could potentially use. And what drew me to this was the design, very similar to the Hornady in terms of very compact. It's all vertical. There's nothing beyond this footprint other than obviously dropping in a die with a powder funnel to flare the case. This is also case activated. Comes with all the components for both large and small powder measure. Everything is in the kit, and it's the same pot metal that the Dillon is made out of. So difference being on the Dillon, I'm not going to install a third-party quick release because I need that powder bar to stay exactly where it's at. So it's very tightly mounted into the lock rings. So a big difference from again a dated design is there's an on and off for this. This costs significantly less, and twist on, twist off, and then to empty your powder, you just pull it out, dump it into your can of powder. So there's no on and off for the Dillon. The only way to do an on and off or powder removal for the Dillon powder bar is to either pull the powder measure out with something like a quick release, unless you want to unscrew the hex screws every time, or you pull the tool head out. And for me, that's probably the route I'll go because I don't leave powder in my measures for any period of time. So I would pull the whole tool head out as opposed to something as simple as putting this in, removing it, dumping it out, and then putting that back on the press. So that was one quirk. So the fact that everything comes with the Lee auto drum powder measure to do precise measurement, where I had to buy the adapter for precise measurement instead of using the wrench. No on off, no easy way to dump powder. And then here's where the Lee gets a big bump. So Lee has recently come out with, and I was trying to keep the all blue Dillon all blue, or as blue as possible, and throwing a giant red powder measure on was blasphemous, I guess, to some. So Lee has come out with an upgrade to this hopper, and what makes it very interesting is that what you do is you remove this black piece of plastic via this screw, and then you attach it here, screw the screw in there, so that it essentially gives you the exact same functionality. Rotate on, rotate off. But what's very, very cool, and again, once you twist it to the off position like you have here, and then this is the old style cap, prone to spillage. Again, Lee's made improvements. Nice to see they've taken an old design and incorporated new features. So instead of a pop-off cap, they now have it's a screw-in cap. So once you've turned the powder off, flip it upside down, empty your powder out into your powder bottle, put this back on, put it back in the dispenser, you're ready to go. And here's where Lee gets the big upgrades. The beauty behind this design is it's meant and I'll use my unique here, it's actually meant to keep all your powder in your powder bottle. So instead of pouring powder into this, you would just, when it's with the adapter, screw this on. Again, the adapter being this black piece. Now this is screwed onto here. You would then put that into your powder measure and start dispensing your powder. When you're all done, you rotate it to the off position, unscrew it, and naturally I have a little powder everywhere, and you're good to go. So you're eliminating the need to dump powder to and from a powder bottle if you choose to do so. I personally wouldn't, because this can be heavy with a pound of powder, whereas this looks like it's maybe 8 ounces worth of powder. So me personally, I would probably go this route on the powder measure with this adapter installed, so that I can turn this on and off at will, and it's now relatively color free. So it's not red on a blue press, clear bottle, same pot metal. I think a more efficient design, an updated design, and if you followed anybody who does a lot of Lee stuff, you'll find that this is a very accurate measurement for powder measurement. So that's my rant. Press is now ready to go for loading, and I should have the cover later this week and call it done. Thanks.